Okay, the Spotlight Research Forum, Darnell Bolton, transatlantic graduate student, and we are going over a research project dealing with post-Negro slavery analysis of pauperism, poverty, and disability. The thesis was derived from a project examining race, poverty, pauperism, and disability between the years of approximately 1840 to 1910. And the central issue is twofold. First, that the culture of chattel slavery and emancipation of blacks was critically overlooked in its role in perceived disability, poverty, and pauperism, and also criminality of blacks during this period of study. Further, between the years of 1840 and 1910, that a unique creation of race combined with condition identity was imposed on blacks during this time. Now, to explain what race combined with condition identity would be, is a temporary condition such as poverty or pauperism or education or productivity levels being associated with an innate condition like race. When race being innate and combined with a temporary condition, it makes it appear that the two being connected, that both are innate. So it's to say this person is black, connecting the condition of poverty, saying black and poverty are now innate. So when you say black poverty, that means poverty because you're black, as opposed to being black and happen to be in a temporary condition of poverty. Connecting these two is what has made this dynamic associated with this group of people go throughout history. Now, the methodology is simply, I aligned my research technique with that of Sean Wilentz and Daniel Walker Howe. Both had books in 2005, 2007. One was What God Hath Wrought, which was Howe, and Wilentz was the development of American democracy, and it's marking from President Jefferson to President Lincoln. And the time period that both books study is from approximately 1812 to 1848, which is commonly referred to as the Jacksonian period. And that's where they identified that American democracy formed. The version of democracy that exists in America actually formed in that period of time, where I am proposing that the mainstream identity for black people in the United States formed between 1840 and 1910. The primary sources addressing issues of black poverty and pauperism during this period were referred to as the Negro problem, illustrates the formation of an American identity for black people. And these primary sources provide a mainstream and a counter perspective. Now, the primary sources that were used include mainstream newspapers, black-authored newspapers, black-authored literature, and also mainstream literature, court rulings, and speeches from politicians and leaders during the time. Now, the main research narratives taken is John Van Every for the white supremacist issue, and three perspectives for the counter issue for the black population: W.B. Du Bois, Martin Delany, and Booker T. Washington. Some of the books that were used for the research was John Avery's White Supremacy and Negro Subordination, 1863, Martin Delany, Principles of Ethnology, 1880, W.E.B. Du Bois, The Philadelphia Negro, Souls of Black Folks, Evolution of the Negro between 1899 and 1910, and Booker T. Washington's famous Up from Slavery in 1901. The results was that mainstream American political and social commentators elected to ignore the impact of slavery and emancipation and the influence it would have on poverty, crime, and projected or perceived mental disability for black people in the South and North. Also, the specific to black people is mainstream political and social commentators connected a temporary social condition with a permanent or innate condition of race and calling it the Negro problem. This alleged permanent connection of temporary condition mixed with an innate condition made a permanent historical identity imposed on this particular group of people. Third, the black culture actually countered these perspectives that was projected on them. But even though they countered the white or mainstream perspective or identity, even the perspectives that were countering did not agree in what they were saying. No, blackness is not this, blackness is this. And unfortunately, in their conflict, it caused a great degree of strife that stopped the progression of, or inhibited the progression of, black people as a group. Which is why we have three perspectives, because Delany, W.B. Du Bois, and Washington all had three independent views of how to best tackle the mainstream imposed identity. Race combined with condition, identity traits formed during this period were perpetuated through the Jim Crow, civil rights, war on drugs, and mass incarceration today. And it deals with blackness in literacy, blackness in poverty, blackness in crime, and blackness in disability. The conclusion is that as the Jacksonian era defined American democracy, the period of 1840 to 1910 defined the mainstream role of blacks in the United States. This period influenced current expectations and perspectives on modern American blackness. It also projected on what is the anticipated condition and performance of American black people, and that still affects the black community to this day. The unique but well used term, black on black crime, not used for any other race. The Black Brute example that came out of emancipation, where he said, well, black people are controlled by slavery, and for two reasons would they become criminal and have urges that they would not be able to control. One, because slavery keeps them from acting in their natural bestial ways. And two, they're going to seek revenge for how they were treated. So there was a projected identity of criminality on the black person, specifically the black man, that is consistent with reinstituting slavery, because the 13th Amendment's exception clause actually states that slavery can be held in punishment of a crime.